Okay, it's volunteer story time, and today I get to talk about Maxine. So, Maxine was someone that when you walked into our building, you knew that you were going to be in the presence of someone who was so genuinely joyful and excited about anything and everything that God was doing in our church. And so our church was growing, and Maxine had been serving at our church probably before I even started attending our church, maybe even before I was a Christian. Anyways, so our church is growing, our team is growing of volunteers, and we were starting to do some strategies and move people around and creating real teams instead of just gathering pools of people. So Maxine comes along and she proclaims, make sure that everyone knows that this door is my door. Like, I have always served at this door. This is my favorite place to be. And she gave us the whole list and everything. And we're like, that's fine, Maxine. Great. Well, what started happening is we never could find Maxine. Like, we'd go by that door that she loved and there would be nobody there. Nobody to greet somebody, nobody to hand them a bulletin, no one to warmly greet them. And so I remember I would sometimes walk by and I would hear this, and here comes Maxine running back to her spot. Now, Maxine was probably in her mid to late 70s, maybe. And she'd come running up and, oh, I'm here. I'm like, okay, great. And this would happen every time she served. So I started thinking, what is happening here? Because as much as she loves to serve and she understands the mission and all, and it's okay sometimes, look, where is Maxine going and what's happening? And when I would ask other people like, hey, what's going on? They would all say, oh, don't even think about moving her. Don't even think about approaching her about moving. And so I thought, well, okay, but I just want to have the conversation. And I think if there's one of the takeaways about this talk is that never be afraid to have the conversation with someone, to learn and know and really know your people and what is going on. So, and I said, where are you going to? Where are you disappearing to, Maxine? And she's like, oh, Marianne, I love the worship so much. Like our team and the songs, I just want to be in there and I can't help myself. And so I kind of creep into the worship area and I just get so carried away and with worship and listening to whoever's singing, and it just takes me away and I just love it so much. But it's okay. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be here and I can hear it from here. And I said, okay. So I started thinking about that and I thought, what if we asked Maxine to serve where she could be where the music is all the time, where she doesn't feel the pull to have to go back and forth. So I walked up to her one day and I said, hey, Maxine, I have an idea. I just want you to think about it. What if, you don't have to do it, but think about what if you started serving as one of our ushers? Because our ushers, as she knew, were always inside the auditorium. You see, our greeters were always at the door, and they were pretty stationary, except for Maxine, but they stayed at the doors, and they were the ones to greet people as they walked in, whether it was our outside glass doors or into our worship area, and they would hand bulletins and say good morning and open the door. They were our greeters. Inside, where folks were doing kind of the same thing. They were walking up and down aisles. They were meeting people, helping people. So I asked her, do you think you might consider being an usher? Then you can be in there. And I said, but just think about it. Well, Maxine didn't have to think about it. She immediately, her eyes got big and she looked at me and she went, is this a promotion? So excited. I said, well, Maxine, I just want you to be where you're going to love serving. And so she was like, yes. Nobody could believe it. But here's even the better part. Weeks and months afterwards and all the time, I would hear from the other ushers that served on her team. They would share stories of how Maxine is teaching us so much. Maxine was inspiring them. Maxine was motivating. Maxine was encouraging them. Maxine was being the volunteer that was leading the way to continue this environment that we were doing in our throughout a whole church. We say the sermon starts in the parking lot. So from the minute you drive in all the way into where you're inside waiting for church, you knew that you were seen, that you mattered, and that you belonged there. And so don't listen to the voice that may be saying, oh, don't approach them. They'll never go along with. I would add, don't do it if it's just your idea or if there's a problem. But definitely go to the person, have the conversation, lean in and ask them, so what do you love? What's hard about where you're serving? And listen, and they'll tell you, Lord, help us lead this person so that they are serving in the best place that you've decided, that you've gifted, that you have decided that they belong to serve. And Maxine belonged where the music was.